Hey everyone, here's how to make a cartoon in Blender. Okay, first I'm going to open up Audacity. It's a free open source audio recording program, and we'll record a little audio for our cartoon. Here we go. Hey there everybody! That's too loud. Now here's a little audio recording pro tip. I've got way too much room tone in here, too much echo. And it's because the gain is cranked up too high on the mic and I'm not close enough to it. So I'm going to turn the gain down on the mic over here. This is the playback volume. This is the gain, recording volume. We're going to turn that right down to like that and mess around a bit. Let's see if that sounds better. Hey there, everybody! I just don't want it to be clipping. See, that sounds a lot better already. Okay. And maybe I'm going to do a different voice. Hey there, everybody.
Hey there, everybody! My name's Slimer. I like hot dogs. Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Hey, Slimer. I got something for you.
What is it? Hey there, everybody! My name's Slimer. I like hot dogs. Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Okay, I'm going to export this as a wave now. Anywhere on the computer, I'm just going to put it, you can't see this, but I'm just going to put it, I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it hot dogs. Okay, and we're going to call this hot dogs _1 or something like that in case we want to do a take two. Okay, now I'm gonna cut my audio together and I'm gonna do that in Blender actually. So I've opened up Blender. You gotta go to blender.org and download Blender. It's free, it's open source, it's beautiful. Okay, we're in Blender now. I'm gonna hit File, New, 2D Animation. This is just gonna be a preset that's gonna get us hooked up and ready to start drawing 2D animation. Look, I'm already drawing. Isn't that great? Okay, but now I actually want to import the audio. So to do that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up here and we can see we have different tabs. These are basically just different setups where you can kind of, they just have different windows open. So this is like compositing for when the animation's done. This is 2D animation. It's the main one you'll be using. And we're just gonna hit plus, and these are all different workspaces, kind of presets. I'm gonna click video editing, and now we can import our audio. Let me drag that in. I'm just gonna find the file on my computer and then click and drag it in. There it is, wasn't that easy? Okay, let's, apologies, I'm clicking around already. So all I'm doing is a middle mouse click dragging to pan through this window, and then a middle mouse scrolling to zoom in, okay? And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come down here and click on playback. This is important, I swear. And we're gonna click audio, no sync, AV sync. So that stands for audio video sync. This way Blender will sync the audio and the video. And then we're gonna click scrubbing, and this will allow us when we click and drag to hear the audio. Hold on, how do you click and drag in here? Oh, up here. And then we can hit space if we want to play it. So I don't like that part at the start. Let's just cut it here. Whoops. So let's select the clip and then we're going to cut it. So we should be able to do strip, split, and the hotkey is K. So try and remember that, K for cut. Okay. And then we're going to select this clip. We're going to do strip, delete, the hotkey is X. Okay, now we're gonna select the clip and we're gonna left click and drag and we're gonna move it back to the start like this, and then we're gonna go, actually you can click this to go back to the start or end of the animation, right? You can see the shortcut is shift left arrow, so that's very helpful.
Hey there, everybody! My name's Slimer. I like hot dogs. Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Hey, Slimer.
So that seems fine. I want a little less of a pause there. So right after he says, here comes my friend Bill Murray, I'm going to scrub very carefully with the left and right arrow keys. So just as he finishes talking, I'm going to hit K to make a cut, and then keep scrolling, scrubbing. And right before he starts talking, I could try and hit K to make a cut. Yeah, that won't work. So you have to select the clip. Make sure that the clip you want to cut is selected. Okay. Then we're going to delete this in the middle with X. select this again and click and drag it. When it turns red like that, that just means it's overlapping. When you release, it's going to snap to where it's not overlapping.
Murray!
Hey, Slimer. I got something.
That seems fine.
Murray!
Hey, Slimer. I got something for you.
What is it?
Okay, and now we want to end right there. So let's wait, you can't see that, can you? Well, my head's blocking it. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to turn off my webcam so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm coming down here at the bottom where it says, this is the current frame, this is the start frame, which is 1, and this is the end frame. And I'm just going to left-click drag this end frame back. And you can even click over here to go one at a time. And we're just going to place it like there-ish. Let's listen. Okay, so way earlier. I wanted to cut it off. Slightly earlier. Okay, let's take this from the top. So click this arrow to go back to the start, or use the shortcut Shift left arrow. And you can use Shift right arrow to go to the end.
Hey there, everybody. My name's Slimer. I like hot dogs. Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Hey, Slimer. I got something for you.
What is it?
Okay, that's done. Hold on. Let me turn the webcam back on. Okay, yay, we got the audio cut. Now let's make the boards for the animation. So we're going to click over to the 2D animation viewport. You can see I've made this mess. I'm going to get rid of all this. We could try the eraser. That might take some time. Here's a quick way to kind of clear all this very quickly. We can just go down here. Okay, let me explain what this is. These are your keyframes, right? So this is the timeline, same as with the audio. And these little diamonds here represent keyframes. You can see it looks like there's 3 of them. Really, there's just 2. So there's one on the lines layer, and then there's a second keyframe on the fills layer. And this diamond at the top just is a summary. So this, if you select this one, it selects all of the keyframes vertically. Well, you can also select these individually like this. So all we're going to do is we're going to select all the keyframes. Again, that the hotkey to delete stuff is X, and it's going to ask you, do you want to delete the keyframes or clean the keyframes? I'm just going to delete them. Okay, so now we've got a blank slate, and we can start drawing. So I've come up here, I've selected the draw pencil. I'm going to move over to my Cintiq so I can actually draw. 1 second. Okay, I think you can still see that. Yes. So let's start boarding. Let's first I've got my hand on spacebar to kind of cycle through this and give it a listen.
Hey there, everybody.
Okay, so it starts with Slimer saying hi. So I'm just gonna start drawing Slimer. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna put him kind of off here in the middle of the screen. What does Slimer look like? Okay, he's got big eyes. He's like, hey there, everybody. He's got beautiful little eyelashes, that's key. And then his cheeks. Okay. He's got a very bumpy body. And I'm just going to have him lifting his arms up like this.
Hey there, everybody.
I don't think those eyes are a good match for the voice, so I'm going to switch the eyes out. So we're going to erase those.
Hey there, everybody.
I need to get this expression right. 1 second, everybody. There we go. He needed his teeth. That's what was missing. Okay.
Hey there, everybody. My name's...
And what I'm going to do is cut immediately to a close-up here on My Name's Slimer. Okay. Oh, so I should say, it just started making a new keyframe. I just scrubbed to a different part of the timeline and started drawing, and it immediately made a new keyframe, and it already has onion skinning. Onion-headed goat. Never mind. It has onion skinning turned on so you can see the previous keyframe. And if that annoys you and you don't want to see the previous keyframe, there's a couple ways to quickly turn off onion skinning. The quickest way is you want to come up here to this itty-bitty menu. It's got an almost onion skinning-like image on it and a drop-down arrow. So we want to click the drop-down arrow. This is the viewport overlays. Now, if you click this whole button, it's going to turn off all your overlays, and that actually is a really quick way that kind of works, but that's going to turn off a lot of other stuff too that might be a nuisance later. So if you really just want to focus in and just turn off the onion skin, you want to click this drop down arrow and then click onion skin, and that won't show that. Now I don't mind it on, so I'm just going to leave it, but if you want to turn it off, that's how. And then we'll have a little text here that says Slimer. Again, I'm having trouble with his eyes. Let's retry these. That's better.
Everybody, my name's Slimer. I like...
Actually, let's do the fun thing here. So I think he's a little low in the frame and I want to bring him up. And so the way to do that is we're currently in drawing mode inside of a grease pencil object. This is our main storyboarding grease pencil object. And we can't move the strokes around in drawing mode. You want to go to edit mode if you want to kind of edit the strokes. Okay, so to go to edit mode, you'll see we have the modes up here. So we're currently in draw mode. You can see there's object mode. This is kind of the overworld. Then you have edit mode, where we're still inside the object, but we can edit. So we're going to go to edit mode. Not much apparently changes, but what we can do now, I believe I can left-click drag, and we can select all of the strokes like this. And you can see they've turned orange to say that we've selected them. And now I just want to move them up. So I'm going to grab the move tool, and we're going to slide these out. There we go. And a hotkey for moving stuff, it's very useful. It works in almost every part of Blender, is G for grab. So you can just click G, and then as you move your mouse around, you move it. And then when you left click, you place it. Or when you right click, you cancel. It kind of cancels it out to say you didn't want to move it. So I'm going to Control Z and move him back. And then we're going to go back to draw mode. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quote unquote cut back to this first shot. And so what I'm going to do is I want to select this first keyframe. This is obviously, these are just the storyboards. This is more reference for later, but I'm going to select the first keyframe and I'm going to duplicate it. So let's see if we can do that without using the hotkeys. I'm trying not to use too many hotkeys. Okay, look, we have a hotkey here, duplicate keyframes. And so I think it's made a duplicate, and now we have to click and drag to move it. There we go. And the hotkey for that would be Shift D to make a duplicate. But that's another much easier way, is you can just select it and click duplicate. So let's move it back a little. I like it almost right on the sound of the next line. It might be too early, but...
My name's Slimer. I like hot dogs.
See, I feel like it's like one frame too early. Okay. And I don't necessarily want him to have the same pose, so I'm just going to erase parts of it and redraw those parts. So I think his arms can change. And again, this is just the board, you know. We can totally make the drawing different. And he's going to have his arms down because he's kind of pensive here. He's like, I like hot dogs. And he's got his eyes squinted. He's looking off in the distance.
I like hot dogs.
Alright, then he goes, I'm going to go back into the close-up probably. I like hot dogs. No, let's not go back to the close-up. Let's just have him switch a pose. Okay. So right about here, I'm just going to have him kind of wiggle around. And I will convey that he's wiggling with some speed lines. Okay, and then he's gonna go, oh, and I definitely want to go to a close-up for that. And I'm just gonna draw this one again, and I'll just remember later that it'll be roughly the same camera angle as that first close-up. Ooh. Okay, oh, a middle mouse clicking and dragging again to pan through here. You could also grab this bar at the bottom. That's a great way to pan. Okay, now we're gonna cut back. Wait, no, actually, okay, let's cut to quote unquote Bill Murray. Well, I'm not gonna animate for this. So about there, okay, I'm gonna show you how to make a blank keyframe without drawing anything. Well, okay, so the easy way would just be to do this. So I just place a little dot, and now that made a blank keyframe, and you can see, all I want is the visual cue of where the cut is for later, so I know kind of where I want the cut to go. So
here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
And then at this point, Bill Murray will come on screen. And I'm just gonna communicate that with this square, and that the square is coming on screen. And then it goes into a close-up here. Again, convey that with the square.
Murray!
Hey, Slimer. I got something for you.
This is interesting. Let me think on this.
Hey, Slimer. I got something for you. Hey, Slimer. I got something for you.
It sounds like, to me, like there's a change of camera angle there, but I have to think on it. I want a camera angle where we can see, you know, Bill Murray over here, and then Slimer's floating over here, maybe? I mean, the size doesn't necessarily matter. I can figure that out later, but... So we've got Slimer, and he's like... He's kind of relaxed. He's like, hey, it's Bill. Okay, there we go.
I got something for you.
Well, I should hear the audio clip before I draw the face. Let's hear the...
For you. For you.
He's sweating a little.
For you.
Okay, this is a crossroads, right? I want the camera angle to change. That's just kind of what I feel like the joke needs. But either it zooms out or it somehow zooms in more. Well, we're already quite zoomed in. Let's just try one.
What is...
See, that won't do. 1 second. Let's click this one. Again, I'm going to use Shift D to duplicate. And what you can do is after you click Shift D, it won't place the duplicate until you left click. And if you right click, it'll snap it back to where it started. But I want to place it right here. And now replace that keyframe. I think this works better for the joke. We'll just redraw his face. And again, this Bill Murray is a big square.
What is...
Maybe that should cut earlier. Maybe on that sound.
For you.
What is it?
No, I don't know. That's not quite right. Maybe later? I got it. He's kind of intrigued here. He's like, ooh, hold on. What if it's a ghost trap? You know, you never know.
What is it?
Okay, then we have a close-up. Again, I'm probably not going to necessarily draw this part. I'm probably just going to use stock images, but he's going to hold up a picture of a hot dog. Like so. try and get this last expression. Maybe no teeth. Hold on. Less is more. Less. Even this line looks as too many wrinkles. And maybe he's got a single tear. I don't like the tear, but we almost have it. I think we got it. Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna save the file. I should have been saving this whole time, but let's save it now. So to save in Blender, you can go up to File, Save, or you can use the hotkey Control S. I like to keep my fingers ready on the Control S because Blender saves very quickly. You just, it's very quick. So I'm gonna save this as hotdog -1 .blend. Or actually, I should call it, hold on, hotdog -boards -1 save blend file. I like to put that -1 at the end just in case, you know, I want to make a big edit to the boards, then I would want to make another one. Okay, now that we've got the boards done, we're gonna start animating, yay. Okay, so my approach that I wanna demo in this video at least, and there's so many different approaches you could take to animating this. Here's the one I'm gonna go with. This is the method I used on Wire. I'm really warming up to it. I think it's pretty efficient, which is that each shot will be its own blend file. So we're gonna start by saving the first shot. So I'm gonna go up to File, Save As. You can't see this, but there's a save dialog, and I'm going to name this shot -1. Okay, so this is shot 1, and it's basically just the boards, and the only thing I'm going to change is the length of the shot. So I'm going to scroll ahead with the arrow keys to this point when it switches to the next shot. Let's go 1 frame back. So this is frame 40, and I'm just going to set the end frame to here. Now a really quick and easy way to do that is to hover over the 40, or sorry, hover over the current frame, Control C to copy, and then hover over the end frame and Control V to paste. And now as you can see, the end frame is that. So this is the first shot.
Hey there, everybody.
Very simple. I like this because it makes it encourages me to do more shots. You know, it's not daunting. It's just like, here we go. Just this one shot, nothing fancy. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn down the opacity of the board so that, you know, it's less obtrusive while we're drawing. So I'm going to click over here. This is a side panel of properties, and I want to click over to this kind of green squiggly one. This is going to be the layers and stuff. So here we can see the layers of this grease pencil object. It has a lines layer and a fills layer. And I'm just going to make sure the lines layer is selected, or whichever layer that you drew the boards on. And we're just going to turn the opacity down to like 0.4. Oh, and we're going to turn onion skinning off, but not in the global settings, just for the storyboard. So to do that, we come up here to the layer, and you'll see this little ghost image circle. It's got a circle with ghost images. Just click that, and that will turn off the onion skinning for that specific layer. Okay, good. Now what we're gonna do is I'm going to create another grease pencil object, a separate grease pencil object, that I'm just gonna put on top of the boards, and that's where I'm gonna animate Slimer. So to make a new grease pencil object, the first thing we need to do is leave draw mode, because you can't add new objects while you're inside of an object, and we're currently inside of this the boards. So to leave draw mode, we come up here to the mode, and we're gonna change this to object mode. I think I said before, this is like the overworld. You can kind of, this is where you can interact with all the different objects. So you can see we've got the board selected right now, but we want to add another grease pencil object. So to add a new grease pencil object, you come up here to add. Add grease pencil, and you can either add a blank, a stroke, or a monkey. I think I'm going to go with blank. Okay, so we've added a new grease pencil object, and it's currently selected. Now you want to be careful and not select anything else, because it can be hard to find this object again. In fact, it's convenient to name it. So I think the quickest way to name an object is, it's always on the screen. It's this thing. This is the, what is it called? Outliner. So this is like all the objects in your scene. You see you've got the stroke, the original stroke, that's the boards. We could even double click this to rename it. Boards. And then this is the new one we just added, and we're gonna call this Slimer. And then that's the camera. We'll leave that as is. So now we've got Slimer selected, and we're going to add some new layers. So we've added this first layer. Let's rename this to lines or whatever you want to call it. It's the line art. And then we're going to add another layer. We're going to move it down. We're going to call this something like fills. This is where we'll put the fills underneath the lines. And this should be good. And then we're going to go and check out the materials for Slimer. Okay, let's take a look at those. So on the box right beneath the layers one, we have the materials properties. And you can see there's nothing in here right now. So you could add a new material, but what I'm going to do is see if there's one we can already use just by clicking this. So browse material to be linked. So we see we have some default Blender ones. Dots, stroke, solid fill, or solid stroke. I'm going to click solid stroke, so this is just going to be a black line. And then let's add another material. And let's select solid fill. And we'll make a couple of these and we'll change the color for the different fills for Slimer, but we'll do that after we do the line art. Okay, so make sure you have solid stroke selected, and then we're going to draw with that. And so we're currently in object mode, so we can't start drawing just yet. We're going to want to enter draw mode. So click up here, draw mode. Okay, I think we're ready to start drawing. Oh, one more thing. The brush, we currently have the pencil selected. This is the default Blender pencil. I think that works well for drawing boards, but I don't love it for doing line art. So we're gonna click here. You can click this, that would rename pencil, but let's click next to it here, and we can see some of the default brushes. So the one I want is Ink Pen Rough. Okay, and you can see some of the settings here. It's got a radius of 60. I might shrink that in a second. It's got a strength of 100%. And you can see it's using pen pressure sensitivity on the radius, but not on the strength. That's good because I don't want the lines to like fade out as I take off the pressure. There's a couple additional settings up here like advanced settings, post-processing, the kind of randomness. This gives the stroke some unevenness. And some cursor settings. So I'm probably going to tweak some of these settings just because I like them a different way. I'm probably going to turn down active smooth and put the input samples to 0. I don't really like the smoothing. And then I think I'm going to turn down the randomness to like 0.3 and then the scale to like maybe 20. I'll tweak these in a second. I think we're ready. I'm going to move over to the tablet now. And we're going to do a little bit of drawing. Okay. Before I start drawing, I want to talk about zooming and panning around because that's obviously a big part of drawing. So I've got it currently hooked up on the buttons on my Cintiq control the pan and the zoom. But to control that with your mouse, what you would do is you do Shift, middle mouse click and drag, and that's to pan. And if you accidentally just hit middle mouse click without shift, this is going to happen. It's going to take us out of the camera and put us into the 3D perspective view. If this happens to you and you're like stuck out here and you want to get back in the camera, you can always click over here, toggle the camera view, shortcut numpad 0, and that'll take us back to the camera. Oh, what am I saying? If you do the shift middle mouse click is great, and that's the hotkey for it, but they also just have this. You can just grab this hand, and then we can pan around, and you can grab the zoom button. Those are very efficient. I should use these more. To zoom though, that's middle mouse wheel, right? And so all I've done is I've hooked up these buttons on the Cintiq to the middle mouse click and drag into the middle mouse zoom, or actually. To do the zoom in that smooth way, you do control middle mouse click and drag, and that gives you this smooth zoom. Okay, so let's zoom in here, and I'm gonna start drawing Slimer. There he is. Okay. Now I'm going to take this back over here and I'm going to fill Slimer in because I want to show that kind of process. So to fill in the character, we need to first come up with the materials that we'll be filling with. So let's rename this from solid fill to Slimer underscore or dash green. And the only thing you need to change down here is under fill, you can change the base color. And let's change that to some sort of shade of green. And the good thing about Blender is this is this color isn't set in stone. After you fill it, you can change it over here and it will change it everywhere that you filled it, like a color palette. So let's fill this in. We'll come down here to the fill tool and let's just try and fill. Okay, so what's happened is I'm on the wrong layer. So it put it on top of the lines. Let's undo that. Let's come down here and let's make sure fills are selected. We can make this a little bigger. There we go. Okay, fills are selected. Now let's try and fill. There we go. Now I'm gonna tweak some things about the fill because that's a pretty good fill, but you'll notice if we zoom in here, it didn't fill his fingers quite right, which is understandable. It also didn't quite get that, and here's why. Let's undo. The leak size is a bit big, if you believe it. 3 is a bit big. So I like the leak size at 0. I prefer a quite unforgiving leak. And the thickness is, let's see if I can demo this. You can't really see it. Maybe if I turn it way up. Maybe, oh! The thickness affects the stroke. So if you have stroke turned on, you would see this very thick line. But by default, stroke is turned off, which is great. So that thickness doesn't really mean anything. So I'm just gonna leave it at the default of whatever. Okay, so now let's try and fill. And you'll see a very clean fill. It went right up to the fingers. We can do another fill here. He's filled in. Let's put some more colors on here. So I'm gonna come over here and hit add material. And what I like to do to make new materials is select one that already exists because it's got, you know, I mean, there's not a ton of settings here, but it's got the basic settings. And then we click the 3. Let me explain what the 3 is. So 3 means this material is not a duplicate of this one. It's actually the same one. It's pointing to the same material. It's just a different instance of it. And in the current scene, there are 3 different instances of Slimer Green. So if we click the 3, it'll make it unique and make a duplicate of it. You can see it renamed it as Slimer Green 0.001. So we're gonna change this now to Slimer Eyes and pick out a color for Slimer's eyes. I don't know how orange I want to go. Pretty orange. Look at that. That's wonderful. Let's keep going. New material. Click the 2 here. So there are 2 users of Slimer Eyes. Let's click that. Call this Slimer Mouth. That's a bit red for me. I wonder if we could do like a... Ooh, I like that. Yeah, that's nice. And then... it doesn't matter which one you pick, but just make a unique one, call it Slimer Teeth. These could be the same as the eyes, but I think I want them a little more desaturated. Okay, and again, we can tweak all of these after the fact. If we don't like them, maybe this could be more purple or less purple, more blue. Yeah, I kind of like that. You know, you can tweak them as much as you want. So let's call that done. There's the first drawing of Slimer. Now, I would like, because Slimer talks in this shot, right?
Hey there, everybody.
I would like Slimer's mouth to be on a separate layer. So I can animate a couple frames of Slimer doing something, and then the mouth moves separately and kind of does a mouth flap. This is a very traditional kind of minimal animation technique. So let's move the mouth to another layer. So first, let's get that layer set up. Let's go over to the layer panel. I'm gonna hit the plus to add a new layer. Let's move it to the top. Call this mouth. Then add another layer and put it below it. Mouth fills. Okay, and now we need to move the other layers. So to move the strokes to other layers, we need to go to edit mode and select the different strokes. So let's go from draw mode to edit mode. If you've got something selected which you want to deselect, like, you know, maybe that's selected, you can always just click outside and that will deselect stuff, but you could also do the hotkey Alt-A, that is to deselect all. And then you can also do the hotkey A, and that selects all, so Alt-A deselects. I'm gonna try and select the mouth using circle select. I'm being hesitant because I don't want to like jump ahead to too advanced stuff, but I think circle select is pretty basic and very helpful. So circle select, use a hotkey. I think there's also up here circle select. Yeah. So under select, circle select, but the hotkey is C, and that makes this little circle. and then you can use the middle mouse wheel to make it bigger and smaller. And when you left click, you can select stuff in the circle. So I'm just gonna click through here and select all these mouth lines like this. I'll leave the cheek as it is. So now we've got all those mouth lines selected, but we're still in circle select mode. And to leave circle select mode, you want to right click. Okay, we're out of circle select mode. Now we've got those lines selected. Let's move them to the mouth layer. So to move the strokes between layers, there should be move to layer. Okay, the hotkey for this is M. So let's move them to the mouth layer. Okay, to make sure I did that right, I'm going to start hiding some of these layers with the little eyeballs. Okay, so get rid of that one, hide that one. Good. Now I think what's happening right now is they're all on the mouth layer and the mouth fills aren't separate. So I would like them to be separate. I guess they don't need to be though, do they? It's kind of working. Have I overcomplicated this? This is how I normally do it, but honestly the fills work great even not on separate layers. Blender's really improved the fills. So let's delete mouth. Let's be experimental. Let's just have the whole mouth on one layer. It seems to work great. Now let's leave edit mode. Go over to draw mode. Before we move on, there's one little detail I want to add to Slimer. We're going to add one more material. Whoopsie daisy. One more material. Let's actually move this one up. Slimer green, make a duplicate and call it Slimer bags. He needs to have dark circles under his eyes. So to add dark circles under his eyes, we want to make sure we have the fill bucket selected, and then you want to hold Alt. Yeah, I believe Alt. Yeah, Alt. We're on the wrong layer, 1 second, but you want to hold Alt, and that will let you draw a kind of it's like a fill catching line. It's sort of here we go. It kind of holds the fill in, and you can see it's gray right now, and that's because it's using this color here. You can see the stroke color. So you could have the stroke color match, or you'll actually, this won't render. That stroke line won't end up in the render. We can only see it now as kind of a preview of what it will look like when it's done. So, but just to keep the preview clean, let's have it render. There we go. And there we go. He's got dark circles under his eyes. Maybe a little too dark, but you know, we can tweak that afterward. Something like that. Oh, sorry, I'm doing a thing here I should explain. To make this color match the stroke and the fill match, I'm hovering over the color and doing Control-C, and then hovering over this color and doing Control-V, so I can copy-paste the colors as well, which is very convenient. Okay, I think we're ready to start animating. So, I already kind of know how I want to do this shot. I'm going to select the lines, come over here, select the draw brush, make sure we can actually select the materials up here as well. There's a couple different places to access them. I'm going to come up here to solid stroke for the outlines. We're going to come a couple frames forward, and we can just start drawing. I'm actually going to hide the fills for a second so I can just focus on the lines, and we're going to hide the mouth too. Okay, so we can just focus on the lines, and we're going to draw the kind of next pose. So he's going to go between two little poses. So to draw the next pose, as long as I'm not on the same frame, I can just start drawing and it will create a new keyframe. So let's just, hold on, draw this a little lower. Does it have onion skinning? I don't think it does. Oh, it doesn't. So come over here, and next to the eyeball is this circle, and if you click that, you get onion skinning. And then if you come up here, you can click the eyeball on the boards and hide them. I like to keep the outlier always with the boards in view, because if you have a bunch of objects, you can kind of scroll up and down in here. And I like to keep the boards in view so you can quickly disable them. And so for drawing this second pose, I'm basically just going to draw the first one, but slightly lower and slightly wider to kind of give him this bounce. Yay! I think that was good. Yeah. Okay, so now we can bring the other layers back. The fills and the mouth. I know we get this unsightly effect because the fills are still using the fills from the first drawing. So, like with drawing, you can just start filling stuff in and it will make a new keyframe on the fill layer. So we have it selected, fills, and then we fill. fill, 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 and then we'll do the eye bags now. Again, make sure you have the fill tool selected and you hold Alt and you can draw, then fill it in, draw, fill it in. There we go. And now let's do the mouth drawings. I kind of approach some shots like this where I'll just prep the drawings that I know I'll need and then I'll time them out later. So I've got the 2 body drawings and now I'm gonna draw the different mouth shapes that I think I'll need. Let me listen. I think I'm gonna need all my mouth shapes. I have like a preset list in my brain. So let's start drawing them. So right now we've got open mouth. I'm gonna come in with slightly more closed mouth, but with teeth showing. Let me turn on onion skinning for the mouth layer so we can see that. Oh my goodness, that's pretty hard to see. Maybe turn off the lines, the fills. There we go, that's way clearer, okay. These would stay the same pretty much. And then his mouth would close like this. Get his teeth. Okay, and then we'll go like, I don't know, a frame ahead or frame behind. Doesn't really matter because we're going to move them around. But now we need like closed mouth. Okay, and then we need an ooh. I'm going to do an ooh. I can't see the teeth. I'll just make a guess at them. I think that's good. Now let's fill those in. So make sure we have the mouth layer selected, and then we need the mouth color, or no, the teeth color. Fill that in. Okay. Oh, I didn't think this through, everybody. See, it's putting it on top. This is why you have them as separate layers. It puts it on top. Don't worry, we're not in trouble. I'm gonna add in that other layer. And maybe there's a way to make it like snap to the bottom. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm just gonna do this because this is what I know works, giving it a separate layer. And if you have the layers separate like this, you can do some like different effects, you know, to the different layers and stuff. And it can be, it's convenient to have them be separate like this. There we go. Now we know that works. And so for this one, we just don't want any fills at all, right? Because it's a closed mouth. So to turn this into a blank keyframe, you have to use a hotkey, or no, you don't have to use a hotkey. You can come up here to draw, animation, insert blank keyframe on the active layer. The hotkey is Shift I for insert, I guess. So there we go. Now there's a blank keyframe there. And then let's do this one. There we go. Let's turn the fills back on. Let's turn off this onion skinning because it's distracting. Now we can time this out. I'm going to move over from this in T because I usually do this with my mouse. Okay, so I'm going to start by timing out the his whole body, and then we'll do the mouth shape. So while I do this, I'm actually going to press these little locks on the mouth and mouth fills layers just because I don't want to accidentally move them around right now. I just want to move, pardon me, these around. So I'm clicking, you can click and drag on these, but you can also click G and then move them around and then place them. I actually want them to come down. Okay, we're going to select the first keyframe, Shift D, duplicate. Shift D, duplicate. Duplicate.
Hey there, everybody. Hey there.
Okay, I like that, except we don't need that first frame anymore. So let's just move this there.
Hey there, everybody.
There we go. Now let's do the mouth. So we're just going to switch this. We're going to lock these and unlock these so we don't accidentally move the body ones. And I know this will be an issue later, so let me circumvent it now. I'm going to select the mouth fills layer because remember this one was done in a slightly different way. And all I'm going to do is do Shift I. We're going to insert a blank keyframe. And the thing to know about Shift I is you want to make sure The Blender hotkeys are kind of window sensitive. So if you were hovering over this window and you did Shift-I, nothing would happen, I don't think. So you have to be hovering over the 3D viewport where your drawing is. And then when you do Shift-I, it'll insert a blank keyframe. But it won't work in here. Okay, let's do the lip sync. So I'm going to have him start with his mouth closed. Let's move these around. I think we want the big one. I think that works for hey there. Okay, Shift D to duplicate that. Shift D, duplicate that. And we need the mouth closed for body. Let's have that a frame before. Gee, this is tricky. Let's have this one a frame before. I think that works better. You typically want the mouths leaning towards advancing the sound, so they're before the sound usually. Let's play that back.
Hey there, everybody!
Yay!
Everybody!
We could probably have this come on.
Everybody! Hey there, everybody!
Yeah, I think that works. That works fine. I think we did it. We finished the first shot, everybody. Woo! We can unlock these. And then save. Always save. Before we move on to shot 2, I want to make sure this file is set up to render this out, so we can render this first shot. So the rendering settings, we come up here to render properties. And you can see that we're using the Eevee engine. This should all be on by default, and we're using the sampling and the denoising and stuff. That's all fine. That's all the default stuff. What you want to look at, though, is output properties. And you can see we're at 1920 by 1080 at 100%. If you do like 50%, that would be half of those, but there's 100%. 24 frames per second. I mean, you can change any of these to your specifications, but just be aware that this is where that is. And then the main thing to look at is output. So first, let's say where we're outputting it. So you click this little thing and you pick an output folder. I'm just gonna put it on my hard drive, make a folder for it, call it hot dogs, or hot dog. I'm flip-flopping on the title. Let's go with hot dogs. And then you can't see this, or I'll take a screenshot of it so you can see. But and we're just gonna name the file something. We're gonna be saving this as a PNG sequence. So whatever you name it is gonna be followed by a bunch of zeros, like 0000001, that kind of thing. I typically call this frame. Doesn't really matter. And then you hit accept. Okay, so now that's gonna save that as just frame and then a bunch of zeros. And it's already set up to save it as a PNG sequence. You can see PNG. Red, green, blue with alpha, color depth, 8, compression. All those default settings are fine. And if you want to render it out, let's say the shot's done. Let's say there's no background. Or, I mean, you can render out multiple times, right? It'll just save over the file. So let's render this out now that we finished it. So to do that, we come up to Render and click Render Animation. And you can't see this because it's happening in a separate window, but it's going real quick. It shouldn't take very long because we're in Eevee and we're just rendering grease pencil. I mean, it can take longer if you have a bunch of elements, but typically Blender goes pretty quick at rendering these frames. Okay, it's done already. And now what I'm gonna do is, now that we've got that rendered, I think we're ready to start on shot 2. Yes, yes indeed. Okay, so I'm just gonna come up here to File Save, Save As, and then call this shot 2. Good. And then we're going to change the start and end frames. Okay, so to do that, we're going to advance the start frame to the next shot, right? And we can copy Control C current frame. Let's move that end frame a bit ahead. Paste that there. Get the right end frame, copy, paste that there. There we go. And now we've got this next shot ready.
My name's Slimer.
Okay, so I'm just gonna use the same Slimer object from before. I had the board selected, which is why they were glowing orange like that. It's kind of distracting. Okay, make sure we have Slimer selected, and I'm just gonna go through all the layers and just clear everything. So Shift I, next layer, Shift I, next layer, Shift I, next layer, Shift I, and a more convenient way to do that would be draw, animation, insert blank keyframe, all layers, and that would put one on all the layers. That's probably better. I think I'm just gonna start drawing. Yeah, right material, the solid stroke. Yeah, okay, let's just start drawing Slimer on the lines layer. Here we go. Here's one thing, if you want to draw just a straight line across the screen, you can hold down Alt while you draw, and it should go straight. There we go, it took a second. Yes, and we're gonna leave the mouth out, because of course we'll add the mouth in on the other layer. In fact, we can do that now. Okay, so just to keep things a little fun, I could just have him shimmer again between two different frames. That feels a bit boring. I'll have him shimmer for the beginning, and then on Slimer, he's gonna like raise his head a little. So we'll have him, we'll just make a shimmer here. Let me disable those boards so we don't have to see them. And turn on onion skinning for the lines. And this is gonna be a very close shimmer, just like slightly down maybe. Okay, and then on Slimer, he's gonna lift his head up. And now, just to demonstrate it, we're gonna do an in-between, our first in-between. So I would like one in-between, between his head down and his head up. And I'm just gonna have it straight down the middle. So to draw an in-between, you just position your cursor anywhere between the two keyframes. And we start drawing. And now the onion skin should by default be set up so that the previous frame will appear in green and the next keyframe will appear in blue. And if you want to change those settings, they're over here in the layers panel under onion skinning. You've got the opacity of the onion skin. You've got how many keyframes to show before, how many keyframes to show after. You can change the colors if you want. I like all the default stuff, but that's where that is. And then I'm just going to start drawing, right down the middle. That's not right down the middle. Done. And if you're an animator who really likes doing in-betweens, you could go totally wild and draw another one in between those two, and then you would space them out a little differently, so it's not too close together. But now I'm gonna do the mouth shapes. I think I'm just gonna have the kind of set mouth shapes at the beginning, and then we'll cycle through them through this shot, and I think that'll work. So we have mouth open. Let's do mouth closed, or mouth partially closed with teeth bared. Oh, I need onion skinning. Let's turn it off on the lines, turn it on for the mouth. Now I'm actually gonna do the ooh next. Let me think. My name's Slime. I think on Slimer, I kind of want like an ooh shape. So we'll use it. I don't always need to do all of these mouth shapes. Sometimes, depending on the shot, you don't need as many, but I think for this it'll work better. And then we'll have a closed mouth.
My name's Slimer.
There we go. And you might think as he lifts his head up that you would need different mouth shapes, and we'll see. You can always just move the ones you already have. In fact, I might show how to do that. Okay, let's turn off the onion skinning and let's start filling stuff in. So I'm gonna start by filling in his whole head, and then we'll do the mouth shapes. So here we go. He's actually got his eyes closed, so the only thing I need to add are his eye bags, I think. Yeah. So fills with the fill tool, and then hold down Alt, and we'll just go like this. Unless I want more eye bag. Hold on, let me think. You know, I ran into this issue with Palpatine. I wasn't sure how to do, like, the closed eyes with the eye bags always looks a bit odd. And then these next eye bags. And if you wanted, like, onion skinning to kind of, like, reference what the eye bags looked like in the last frame, you'd probably have to have the eye bags on their own layer, just because the onion skinning has kind of a hard time displaying, like, fill onion skins. Or it's much better with lines. But I'm just eyeballing. I think it looks fine. How is that? I think that'll work. Okay, let's fill the mouth. Make sure we're on the mouth fills layer. Oh, here's one thing. So it can be a bit tedious to just click on the keyframes like this. And a great hotkey to have is up arrow key and down arrow key. So up, if you use like right and left arrow key, that takes you one frame at a time. But up arrow key hops you between keyframes. Ooh, wait, this is an important tool. Okay, so it's saying no more keyframes to jump to in this direction. And it's true, there aren't any more keyframes on this layer, mouth fills, but I want it to reference all of the layers. And to turn that setting on, you want to go down here to select, hold on, wrong one, to view, only keyframes from selected channels, turn that off. I almost have this off all the time because I like to be able to just jump and reference the other layers keyframes. So like we can see, just using up and down arrow, it's easy to switch between these. And then this one, we want a blank one. I actually have a hotkey on my Cintiq hooked up to do Shift I, because I use that a lot. Shift I comes up, you know, insert blank keyframe. Okay, let's start timing these out. I switch between the screens a lot because I want to give my wrist a break from drawing. So again, the same thing as before. I'm going to kind of mute the mouth layers so I can just focus on these other ones. So whoops, and then select this, Shift D. Maybe one frame before. No, that's good. I kind of like that, I think.
My name's Slimer. My name's Slimer.
I don't like how big those fills get. I wonder if we can tweak those. Let's go over to edit mode. Maybe we can circle select and like, there we go. That kind of worked. Wait, oh, I should tell you what buttons I use. Hold on, let's do that again. I scaled it, and so you could use this or you could use the hotkey S. And then I hit S and I hit Z, and that scaled it on the Z axis only. And then G, move it up. C for circle select, right click to leave the circle select, S, Z. These are just kind of basic kind of manipulators in Blender that you'll get the hang of pretty quickly because they come up everywhere in drawing, 3D modeling, like tweaking, even in nodes they come up, right? Scaling, grabbing, rotating, that's R. Okay, so let's go back to draw mode. That looks a little better.
My name's Slimer.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, now let's do the lip sync. Okay, I need an M. Just gonna move all these at once. Sorry, I used box select. So, or no, you could just click and drag. There we go. Just click and drag. So I need, oh, it's ridiculous. I need M. There we go. M. My name. Let's see that.
My name's Slimer. My name.
I kind of want him to end on maybe this one. There we go.
My name's Slimer. My name's Slimer.
Yeah, okay. Now, just to show you, I think it looks fine as it is, but if he had a more extreme head movement, you want to move those mouth drawings and you didn't want to draw them again, you could just draw them again. But if you want to just move them, let's move this one up and then that one up. So to move them, we're going to go to edit mode. I can actually just hit A to select all. And that's only going to select the mouth stuff because we've actually muted the other lines, right? The other layers. And so then you can do G, move this up. I like to hold Shift while I'm moving stuff because it makes it more granular, right? If you just kind of move it normally, it moves one to one with your cursor. But if you hold Shift, you can be a bit more delicate. And then we're gonna do up arrow key, A to select all, G, hold down shift. There we go. Then, we wanna move this one too? Let's move this one too, just a bit up. And I guess the last one too. There we go. Oh, let me show you something cool. Let's say you have a bunch of mouth shapes here, not just a couple, right? So let's undo those. Right, so let's say I want to move this one and this one the same amount up because the rest of the head isn't really moving. You can actually use multi-frame select. So that's this button up here, multi-frame. You turn it on and it's going to let you select all of the keyframes that you have selected down here are going to appear in the viewport up here. So let's select that one and then we're going to shift select those. And now all of them are appearing and you can hit A to select them all. G, shift, and move them up. And that'll work if you've got a ton down here. Just make sure you could even like select them like that, right? And then you'd have all of them selected. And then we'll turn multi-frame off. There we go. And then enter draw mode, and let's play this back. I think we're about there.
My name's Slimer. My name's Slimer.
Okay, that's that. That's shot 2. Let's save. Okay, good. Let's hop along to shot 3. So to do that, I'm actually going to load up shot 1 because shot 3 uses the same camera angle, and I'm just going to go File, Save As, call this shot 3, and then let's change the start and end times. We can't see the boards. I did something funky with the boards here. Just ignore that. Let's pretend I didn't do that. That's how it was before. There we go. Okay. And so we're going to reference the board, so we're going to jump ahead here, right? And we're going to copy this current frame and paste it as the start frame, and then, where's the end? About there. Copy, paste. There we go.
I like hot dogs.
Okay, so this is this shot. Make sure we're in object mode. Sorry, I used a little hotkey there. So you can shift the modes up here, but the hotkey to shift modes is actually Control Tab. You have to hold it down, but you get this cool wheel of different modes. So there's object mode, draw mode, and it depends on what object you have selected. You'll go into that objects mode. So we have the board selected right now, but let's make sure we have Slimer selected because we want to draw in Slimer. Then we'll go to draw mode, and now we're going to go up here, draw, animation, insert blank keyframe all layers. There we go. I'm going to turn on onion skinning for the lines because I want to reference this old drawing so it looks vaguely similar. You can also change the materials up here, right? There's a couple different places to access the materials. So I'm going to switch to the solid stroke, and I'm just going to start drawing this Slimer guy. Okay, that's the first drawing of Slimer. I'm gonna do a quick shimmer of this that we can kind of flip between. And let's have him actually move up a bit on this shimmer on hot dogs like that. Okay, now I'm gonna draw this next pose where he goes blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm gonna draw another pose where he's pushed a bit further in this direction. Okay, now we're going to draw another pose where he's basically flipping the other direction. Okay, I like that. Now let's do one more drawing leaning that way. Okay, I think that's enough drawings, and then we'll flip through those in a fun way. So let's color these in. There we go, and I'm not gonna do the eye bags for these poses because he's in motion. His eyes are very itty bitty. I don't think it'll matter. Okay, now let's do the retiming of the frames. Yeah, that's good. Good. And now the lip sync, I'm actually going to use the same lip sync because his pose is basically the same. I'm going to use the same lip sync from before, the same drawings. Okay, and then when we go to the next pose, we're just gonna clear these keyframes like this. Shift I, Shift I. There we go.
I like hot dogs. I like hot dogs.
Okay, that's done. We're gonna move on to the next shot, which is another close-up, I believe. So again, similar idea. I'm loading up shot 2. We're gonna go File, Save As. Call this shot 4. Then we'll change the start and end times to match this part. Very short shot, and then we'll select Slimer, go into draw mode, that's Control Tab to get that menu up, and then make sure that layers are unhidden. Draw, animation, insert blend keyframe all layers, lines, and then we'll draw this Slimer draw. Okay, good. And then I think all the emotion I want in this shot is just a basic shimmer, so I'm just gonna redraw this again. Okay, good. Now let's fill this in. Okay, so I'm just gonna time these out now. Okay. So that's shot 4 done. Let's move on to shot 5. This is the one with, again, Bill Murray. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just save this as shot 5, and we'll do the start and end times for it. Okay, now Slimer isn't in this shot, so we're gonna delete the Slimer object, and we're gonna go to Google Images. 1 second. I'm gonna search Bill Murray. And now that we've got the image downloaded, we're going to import it into Blender as a plane. So the way to do this is you're going to need to enable an add-on that actually comes with Blender, so you don't need to download anything fancy. But to enable the add-on, you go to Edit, Preferences. I don't know if this is showing up. I wish you could see the preferences, but I'm screen recording Blender directly, or I'm window recording it, so you won't be able to see them, but you'll see them on your screen. You just want to look on this sidebar on the preferences, and then you come down here to add-ons, and then there's a little search button, a little magnifying glass, and you're just going to search for images, and then you should see import, export, import images as planes. Okay, and all you need to do is click the checkbox to make sure that that is enabled. Good, now you can X out of the preferences, and we can, in the 3D viewport, go add, image, images as planes. Okay, now find the image of Bill Murray, or whatever image you want to import. This also works for backgrounds, if you want to do that. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this so you can see. Before we hit import, go off to the side here where it says material settings, and then it says principled, shadeless, or emit. We're gonna click emit. That's the kind of settings we want, because we don't want this to have shading. We want it to just be completely flat. Okay, now import images as planes, and we will now see this little Bill Murray has appeared. I'm gonna scale it up, okay? And we're gonna move it off to the off screen. Right, so he kind of starts over here, and then we're going to animate him onto the screen. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to come down here at the very bottom where you see this little record button. It just looks like a circle, and we're going to click that. What this does is now every time you move an object, or really any setting, it's going to make a keyframe on the frame that you're on. So we're just going to grab the object with G and then place it. And that's going to make a keyframe. Now you can't see the keyframe down here because this is set to grease pencil. So this is only going to show keyframes inside of a grease pencil object. We want to click this and change it to dope sheet. And now we can see the keyframes for this object that we've selected, which has a very unruly name. We shall rename it to Bill Murray. It's got that one keyframe on the transforms. That's the position rotation scale. And now we're going to go a couple frames forward. I'm going to grab it and move it and rotate it. Then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And look, you can see down here it's just making keyframes wherever I go, right? Okay, now let's play that back.
Here comes my friend, Bill Murray. Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Now that looks all right, but what I'm gonna do, I just personally prefer a less in-between style, more holds on the frames, is I'm going to switch the interpolation mode on these keyframes. That's kind of a fancy word, but that basically means right now it's interpolating between my keyframes, it's smoothing them out. And I'm just gonna change that by hovering over the dope sheet, and then you hit T to change the interpolation, and I'm going to change it from what it currently is set to, which I think is linear, and we're going to change it to constant. And now, you'll see when we play it back,
Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
it's chunkier, right? It's chunkier.
Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Okay, so that's that shot. Let's make the next one, which is going to be very similar. So file, save as, shot 6. Change the start and end times. There we go. And now for this next shot, it's much more zoomed in on Bill. So I'm just gonna grab this and scale it and have it be kind of a close out.
Hey, Slimer.
And I'm not gonna actually animate him in the shot at all. It's just gonna be that.
Hey, Slimer.
Good, okay. Next shot is gonna have Bill and Slimer in the same shot, which means we're gonna have to move one of these objects from one of the other shots. So I'm gonna just go File, Save As, Shot 7. And then get that start end time set up. Okay, now we're gonna rescale Bill Murray to kind of fit in the shot. Okay, now we need to bring in Slimer from Slimer's shot. So to do that, you can just come up here to File, Open, find one of the shots with Slimer in it. I'm gonna go with shot 1. Okay, now we wanna select the Slimer object. So as we loaded up the shot, if you were to start clicking, you would see you're actually in draw mode. So it automatically put us in draw mode. We want to move out though to object mode. Make sure you're in object mode, then select the Slimer object, right? And then hold Control and press C, Control C. So we're actually copying the entire Slimer object. It even says copied one selected object. So we've copied Slimer, and now we can come up here and load the latest shot, shot number 7. And now we just do Control V to paste. And it actually, there's Slimer. It pasted Slimer in. I'm probably gonna scale Slimer down a little bit to kind of match the boards. There, okay. And it actually made some keyframes for Slimer's position because I have auto keying turned on. I'm not sure I want keyframes for that. So I'm gonna turn off auto keying, and then I'm gonna hit X and delete those keyframes for Slimer. This way I can adjust Slimer without it jumping back to that keyframe position. Okay, so now, actually this is kind of what I was talking about. So the Bill Murray one has jumped back to those old keyframes because you can see I made this new keyframe position here at the end of the shot. All I'm gonna do to fix this is just move that keyframe back to the beginning of the shot. There we go, now he's there for the whole shot. Okay, now let's go into the Slimer object and let's do the same thing we normally do where we clear the layers. Draw, animation, insert blank keyframe all layers. And I can't see the keyframes right now because we have the dope sheet view, so switch this to the grease pencil view, and now we can see Slimer's keyframes, and now we're gonna draw in Slimer's new pose. Okay, now we're gonna fill him in. There. Okay, I think we're done. Let's play this back.
I got something for you.
Because not much happens in this shot, so that's that. And now the next shot is a close-up of Slimer, so let's load up the last shot that was similar to that, which is this, shot 4, and now we're gonna go File, Save As, shot 8, and then change the start end times. Okay, there we go. Now let's select Slimer, draw mode, animation insert, blank keyframe, all keyframes, and then let's start drawing Slimer as we usually do. I'm gonna have Slimer kind of overshoot into this pose. So to do that, I'm actually going to drag this keyframe I just drew a couple frames forward, go a couple frames back, and insert blank keyframes for that. Okay, and then we'll turn on onion skinning and we'll draw this in. Oh, and to make things a little visually clearer, because I don't want to reference that previous drawing at all, I'm gonna go over here. Oh, you can't see this. Let me turn my head off real quick. Here we go. Look, I remember this. I'm gonna go over here and keyframes before, we're gonna change that to 0 so we won't see the previous keyframe. Okay, good. So he kind of goes, and falls into it. And then we have another drawing here. Okay, good. Now let's fill these in. Okay, there we go. The next shot is back to a return to that kind of previous angle with Bill and Slimer. So let's go back to that one and then save another one. Okay, let's do the same process. Let's go into Slimer and let's do insert blank and draw this new pose. There we go. And I'm changing his expression a bit from the boards to kind of match what he looked like in the previous shot. Okay, now I'm gonna draw a couple mouth shapes for this shot. There we go. I'm not gonna have a closed mouth shape because he's not doing any B's or P's or M's in this line. Oh, I forgot his chin, 1 second. There we go. He should have at least like one frame to shimmer with. Let's quickly draw that. Okay, let's retime these. There we go. That seemed to work all right.
What is it?
Okay, and then the next shot is the close-up of the hot dog. So let's just open one of the Bill Murray close-ups. That should be fine. There we go. Now I'm just gonna scale the Bill Murray up and kind of position him like this. Now again, I'm just gonna go on Google Images and look up a picture of a hot dog. You could probably just draw the hot dog yourself, but this is just kind of an example video, and I think it'll be funny. So I'm trying to figure out where to put the hot dog. I actually think here is funnier. It looks like he's like holding it in his crossed arm. Sure, in object mode, select the Slimer object. Oh yeah, we got selected. And then this thing. Let's draw this face. Good. And now I'm gonna do a quick shimmer of this, and that should be fine. Fill these in. Good, okay. Now, let's start going through each shot, and we're gonna render them out as that big, long PNG sequence. Although a little issue might occur, which is that when you go to render it, even though you've got the boards hidden, the boards show up in the render. Now, there's a couple ways to avoid this issue. One of the simplest ways is just select the boards. We can unhide them if we want. Make sure they're selected, right? We can move them around, and then just delete them. And you just delete them from each shot. Now they won't show up in the render. But if you prefer to preserve the boards and just have them not show up in the render, the way to do that is you come over to this little orange square. This is Object Properties. And then you come down here. This will be minimized, but you come down to Visibility. You open up Visibility, and you turn off Show in Renders. So this way it won't show up in the renders. And then you're good to go. So let's go back through every shot and just render them out. Make sure the boards are hidden or not showing up in the render. And then I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, we've finished rendering all of the frames. They're all in a folder, big folder filled with frames. Now I'm going to show you how, if you wanted to, you could add some post-processing, some effects at the very end. So we're going to make a new Blender file. We're going to use the 2D animation preset, but we're not going to mess with the animation part. We're just going to come over here to compositing, and then we're going to click Use Nodes. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is delete this render layer node. So select it and press X, and then we're going to come up here, we're going to add a new input node, an image. If this is too complicated, you can skip this part. I'll show you in the next section just how to render out your animation for YouTube without adding any effects to it. But for people who are curious how to get started on adding these effects, this is how you do it. So you add an image, and then you click Open. You navigate to that folder that's filled with the image sequence. And then once you've got that folder open, and remember this folder is only filled with the images that make up your render, and then you just click A, and you're going to select all of the images at once, and then you come down and you click, let me take a screenshot. You come down and you click Open Image, and that's going to open all of the images as an image sequence over here. And now what you can do is you can plug in the image input into the image output of the compositor. And we can't see what we're doing just yet. We're going to add another node so we can see what we're doing. I'm going to add an output viewer node, and then we're going to connect image to image, and now we can see what we're doing. It's a bit zoomed in, and the node zooming tools are a little different because you use the middle mouse scroll to kind of zoom in on the nodes themselves, but if you want to alter this background preview image, you actually click the V key, V, and Alt V to zoom back in. There you go. This is just to move this thing, the preview around. Okay, now we're just going to add a very basic bloom effect to the whole thing to make it look extra glossy and shiny. So let's come up here to add, or you could use the hotkey Shift A, and we're going to add a vector filter blur node. Okay, we're going to plug in the image. And let's just plug this into the preview so you can see what we're doing. And let's just turn up the blur. Let's make it like 10 by 10. Could be more blur, maybe 20 by 20. There we go. And now we're going to add another node, Shift A, color, mix. Okay, and we'll plug this in. Let's plug in the main image to the top of the mix, and then plug the blurred image into the bottom of the mix, and then we're going to click mix and change it to something like overlay. Look at that beautiful bloom. And make sure this is also connected to the compositor, because if it's not, then it won't be rendered out at the end. Okay, we've got all of this gorgeous bloom on the animation. Let's go in and add some extra color correction. So Shift A, color, RGB curves. And if you place that on top of a node strand, then it kind of connects it in like this, but make sure it's connected to the viewer too so we can see it. And yeah, let's just bump the contrast because I don't think this is nearly enough contrast. So that looks a lot better to me. And you can also come down here, and if you click in the timeline, we can see future frames in the animation. So I think the whole thing needs to be, that looks fantastic. It needs to be a lot more blue, frankly. So let's crank up the blue. Look at that, it's like a nighttime scene. That's gorgeous. Let's make sure the end frame is the same length as your scene. So this is 391 frames. We're just gonna copy that and paste it as the end frame. And now we've got the whole thing captured in here. And this looks absolutely gorgeous. And if you wanted to render out this new version, what you would do is you come over here to the output properties, make sure these settings are the same as on your main animation, so 24 frames per second, the same resolution, and then it's set up as a PNG sequence. Hold on, you can't see this. Let me turn my head off. There we go. So it's set up as a PNG sequence by default, which is perfect. You just make another folder next to the one where you've got the raw frames. I usually make a folder inside of that folder and call it like, I don't know, comped or something like that. And then you just fill this up with the now composited kind of affected frames, and then you're good to go. So we're making a new folder called like composite, and then save this as frame, right? Composite frame, and then we'll just come up here, render animation, and it'll just render through the whole thing and add all those cool effects to it. Okay, we finished adding our special effects to the video. Now let's get ready for the final composite, putting the audio and the video together. So I've got the boards open here, which is where we've got the audio cut up. And I'm just going to save this as another file. Gonna call this hot dog composite 1. Okay, and we don't actually need the boards in here, so I'll probably just delete this object because all we need is this audio. And now we're going to do add or shift A, image sequence, okay? Now we're going to go into our folder, our composite folder. We have all the composited frames. You hit A to select all, add image sequence. There we go.
Hey there, everybody. My name's Slimer.
Now this may come as a surprise to some of you, but I actually don't like the effects. I think I went too far, maybe. So I'm gonna go back over to the non-composited frames and import those as well. Again, you just go into that folder, hit A to select all, and then import. And
hey there, everybody. My name's Slimer.
See, I actually like that look better. I'm gonna delete the composite ones. Just leave it at these. Okay, so.
Hey there, everybody. My name's Slimer. I like hot. Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Now, what I want to do is start to add some Foley. Now that we've got it animated, we can kind of do some Foley along to it, right? So I want Bill Murray to have some footstep sounds as he walks in. So I'm going to open up Audacity. Yeah, there's Audacity. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start recording in Audacity. Okay, that's good. And now we're going to come over to the file. We're going to come over just a bit before we want to add the Foley. I'm just going to grab my phone and come up to my mic and kind of tap it with my fingers, and that's going to be Bill Murray walking. Okay, let's see how this sounds.
Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Hey, Slimer. I got something for you.
Let's pause that. Give this a listen. How does that sound? Does this sound like anything? Okay. That's Bill Murray walking in. So I'm just going to kind of cut this extra stuff. Let's Control X to do that. Now we're going to export that as a wave or an MP3. I do everything as a wave, but they're kind of big. And we're just going to call this footsteps. Okay. Now we're going to come back over to Blender, right? And I'm going to just click and drag in that audio file we just made. Okay, now we've got the footsteps, and we'll just position them up about here, I guess.
My friend, Bill Murray.
Hey, Slimer.
Let's listen to that.
Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Hey, Slimer.
So you can't hear them because they're not very loud, and Slimer's kind of talking. Let's just boost the volume, though. Make it real loud, then we'll hear it.
Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Hey, Slimer. I got something for you.
You can kind of hear it. Maybe we move it around a little.
Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Maybe earlier?
Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Hey, Slimer.
That kind of, maybe even a little earlier.
Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Little earlier?
Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Hey, Slimer. I got something for you.
What is it?
Okay, now we're going to have a sound for him kind of taking out the hot dog. I'm going to assume he's like taking out a bag. I've got an old bag here. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. Just crack open Audacity. Let me show you that. Make sure we're recording. Then open up Blender and just hit play. And I'll just kind of sync it up the way I think it should be.
What is it?
There we go. Go back to Audacity. One of these sounds should work. This one. It's really loud. We'll just cut around that. Export as a wave. Call this hot dog bag. Okay. And then we'll drag that in here. There we go. Okay. Hot dog bag has now been dragged in. We'll sync that up. A little later. Maybe we can cut it so it's not quite as long. Nice and short sound.
Hey there.
Sounds awful. Maybe quieter? Maybe quieter.
Hey there.
That kind of works. Let's take it from the top.
Hey there, everybody. My name's Slimer. I like hot dogs. Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Hey, Slimer. I got something for you.
What is it? Hey.
Yeah, that's good. We did it. Okay, wait. One last thing. I want to add some mastering, some very light mastering to the audio. just in case you want it to pop a little more, be a little bit louder for like Twitter or YouTube. Nothing wild, just a little bit louder. And so some basic mastering we could actually do in Audacity. So we're going to come up here to render and click render audio. That's just to render out the audio we have here. We're going to call this hot dog audio 2 or hot dog audio 1. Yeah, hot dog audio 1. And we're going to make sure we come over to container, and I'm going to change this to wave because I prefer a wave. Okay. Then you click mix down and that saves that out. And now we can come back over to Audacity, click and drag that in. Give this a listen, right?
Hey there, everybody.
Make sure it's the right file. It should have the sound.
I got something for you.
What is it?
It's got the sounds. Okay. Now, the two like basic mastering things that you kind of do to like audio for a thing is a bit of compression and a bit of equalization. And all that means is compression is you just even it out so that the quiet part's a little louder and the loud parts aren't clipping, and it's it's just more even. And then equalization is you kind of bring up the high end or the low end, you make it a bit crispier, right? So you can do some of that in Audacity. So we're going to select the whole audio clip, come up here to Effect, and let's click Compressor. Let's uncheck Makeup Gain for 0 dB after compressing. So it's just going to compress it and not make it any louder. And then we'll come up here to Effect, click Equalization, and let's just design... You can't really see this, I don't think. No, you can't. That's unfortunate. I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to click and drag some points on this map, and then I'll show you what the points look like. So all I'm doing is I'm clicking and dragging, and I'm adding a point up at the top end that's higher, and then a point at the bottom end that's higher, leaving the middle the same. And that should make it a little brighter.
Hey there, everybody. My name's Slimer. I like hot.
That sounds a little bit crispier. Okay, and you can skip that equalization step if that one's tricky for you. Because the most important one is we're going to select all the audio again, go up here to Effect, and then click Limiter. And you might need to scroll down a bit to see this, but it is down here. And I'm not going to change any of the limiter settings. I think they're fine, and we'll just click OK. A limiter is a lot like a compressor. It basically just makes it louder by making the really loud part slightly quieter so that the whole thing could be louder. And let's give this a listen.
Hey there, everybody. My name's Slimer.
That sounds fine to me. It's louder. Okay, we're going to export as a wave, hot dog audio 2, I guess. The thing you really want to avoid is clipping. Audacity will tell you if there's clipping.
Here comes my friend.
Up here, these will start to glow red.
Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
And that just means it's too loud, and so you can always just come over here and turn this down to avoid clipping. But anyway, a little clipping doesn't hurt. Okay, we're coming back to Blender, and now I'm going to make sure we're at frame 0, so shift left arrow to make sure we're at the first frame. Sorry, frame 1, not frame 0. And then we're gonna drag in our new audio, and we're just gonna, let's not delete our old audio, let's not be so destructive, but let's hide it. So we're gonna click the audio clips from before, and we're gonna hit H to hide them, right? So click it and then H, click it and then H, and now we've just got the new audio and the new frames, and let's play it back.
Hey there, everybody. My name's Slimer. I like hot dogs. Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Hey, Slimer. I got something for you.
What is it?
Yay, the animation's done. Now we can finally export it as a .avi, or sorry, .mp4, and we can put it on YouTube or Twitter. So to do that, we're already in this file, right? And we're just gonna come down here to the same place as before. Let's pick a folder to save it in, and let's save it in our main folder. And I'm gonna call this Final 1, or Hot Dog Final 1. Okay, and then the file format, we're gonna change this to FFmpeg video. And then we're gonna open up encoding to make some quick changes. So instead of Matroska, we're gonna change this to MP4. And then instead of medium quality, let's do high quality. And then instead of no audio codec, we're gonna change this to AAC. And that should be good. I think we can now come up here and click render animation, and this should save it out as something you can put on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram. Okay, that's done. I think that's all the steps. We finished our animation. So we're just gonna do a little sign off here before I'll play back the animation. This is just a basic overview about how to do 2D animation in Blender and touching on some audio recording and processing in Audacity, just really basic stuff. I just want to get people started on making a cartoon. Obviously, if you have a different audio program that you prefer to use, that's great. If you want to draw backgrounds in a different drawing program, you can import images as planes and put them behind the animation. That's what I do. It works great. Or you could draw the backgrounds directly in Blender. Just make a new grease pencil object and draw the background, You get the idea. There's so many more things that the Blender grease pencil can do that Blender's 2D animation features are capable of, as well as Blender. Blender's capable of so many things. But again, it's just a basic overview. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and I hope you go out there and you make some cartoons. Okay, and now as a final outro, here is Hot Dog.
Hey there, everybody. My name's Slimer. I like hot dogs. Here comes my friend, Bill Murray.
Hey, Slimer. I got something for you.
What is it?